Hello and welcome everyone to the Stardom Cast. This is a podcast where we talk all things about the fantastic wrestling company that is Stardom. We do it in a friendly and a positive manner. I am your host, Matt Turner. This is episode 81 and we're having some fun. I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope you're better today than you were yesterday. I hope you are better this week than you were last week. If not, let's get you there. Let's get you there together. All right, we are going to be talking all things 5-star Grand Prix nights 15 and 16. 17 has not been uploaded to Stardom World just yet as of this recording. Can you believe it? We're just about like a week away from the end of this fantastic tournament, and everything's kind of still up in the air. I'm still thinking it's going to be Julia taking it all. I don't know about Utami. She dropped a couple of matches there. I had Julia and Utami in the finals. Might be looking more Julia Tam, but who knows? We still got a couple matches to go. So super excited to watch them and review them. Before I get into the main crux of the podcast, which will obviously be reviewing nights 15 and 16 of the 5-star Grand Prix, I do want to talk about it's a little behind the scenes of last week. I met one Jungle Kyona. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming you're a fan of Stardom. And you're probably a fan of Jungle Kyona. And we talked quite a bit about Jungle on our Patreon episodes when we did our Momo white belt review. She had two fantastic matches there. She had a shot at Arisa, the white belt Wonder of Stardom champion, and a phenomenal World of Stardom challenge against Mayu Iwatani. So obviously I'm a huge Jungle Kyona fan. I really enjoyed her stuff in Tokyo Cyber Squad, the JK Green stuff when she was first starting out, her teaming up with Momo. And, you know, obviously the Tokyo Cyber Squad stuff, like I said, but her specifically team with Konami. I thought that was a tag team that I maybe should have had a little bit longer run than they did, but that's a whole nother story for another day. So when I saw that Jungle was coming back to wrestling and that she was coming to America, like the Eddie Murphy movie, Coming to America, Akeem, I was really intrigued. And she's pretty much kind of booked all over the place. And I noticed that she was at a show about a little over an hour away from me. So I thought, what the heck? Let me go down there and let me say hello. And not every day that you get to meet, one of the best wrestlers ever in Stardom. So she was wrestling for a company called Garden State Pro Wrestling. I believe this was only their third show. And I got to give a shout out to my man, Chio Frost, good buddy of mine, Chio Frost, who I've known for well over 10 years. He's a retired professional wrestler. He does a lot of backstage stuff, music, production, stuff like that. Really like one of the unsung heroes of pro wrestling, or the people behind the scenes. So, when I was just talking to him, he said, yeah, man, come on down. Come on down. Don't worry about anything. And I got to meet everybody that works, the bookers and promoters at Garden State Pro Wrestling. And I got to tell you, man, I've been involved in pro wrestling a long time. These promoters and bookers, the day of the show, are always super nervous, and rightfully so. I will never book or promote. I don't need that stress in my life. These two cats, man, they were cool as a cucumber. They were super chill, super nice. Everybody was super inviting, super nice. I saw Sumi Sakai. I haven't seen her over in 10 years. And, we talked about when we used to wrestle in Chikara back in like 04, 05, 06. So it was like, yeah, that's the great thing about wrestling. You see somebody you haven't seen in a long time, and it's like you just saw them yesterday. So when I got there, Jungle was in the ring putting together a match. So I kind of just didn't want to bother her as she was getting things going. And she was wrestling the Kick Demon, Janai Kai, who I've seen wrestle a few times before, most notably at Bloodsport. Obviously, her name is the Kick Demon. She throws a lot of kicks. Right up my alley. Again, first time I saw her was at Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. If Josh Barnett's going to book you, you're already going to be a fan of mine. So I think he was wrestling like third or fourth. I forget. Or maybe it was fourth or fifth. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So it was about a match or two before her. She was behind the gorilla position, or where I was kind of just hanging out. I was kind of just hanging out backstage. And I just went up to her and I told her, how much of a fan I was of her, how much I loved her matches, especially the two Wonder of Stardom matches she had with Momo Watanabe, and she was super nice. One of the nicest people I've ever met in pro wrestling. On like the first time you meet them, super nice. I asked to take a picture, and obviously she said yes. So kind of let her be. I went to go watch her match, and she hasn't, rather than the Hana Kimura tribute match, she really hasn't wrestled much in the last 2 years. So I was really curious to see one, how good she was going to be in the ring. And two, if the people here in New Jersey were going to know who she was. Again, because she really hasn't had much exposure here in the States. And like I said, she hasn't wrestled in like 2 years, coming off that knee injury. So Janai Kai came out first, and she got a very nice reception. So obviously, Jungle's coming out next. As soon as Jungle's music hit, I want to say the place is pretty well sold out. I want to say there's about 350 people there. At my number, could be wrong, but I know that they kept having to get more and more chairs as more and more people were filing in, which is a good problem to have. When Jungle's music hit, there wasn't one person sitting. There was not one person sitting. She got a great standing ovation. She came out. She did her entrance. You can just see how happy she was. And the people were chanting her name. So I was like, that's good. Everybody knows who she is. They came to see Jungle. There's actually a lot of people had some Stardom t-shirts, had some Tokyo Cyber Squad shirts, some Hana Kimura shirts. There's even one person I put up on my Twitter that brought both the white belt and the red belt. And I'm like, oh, I've never seen those. I got to get my picture taken with those. I sure didn't put that up on my Twitter. And when they announced her name, she got the streamers. She got the customary streamers, and the streamers that were thrown were very reminiscent in the color of Tokyo Cyber Squad. So I thought that was really, really good. It was really, really cool. You can just see just how happy she was, and you just can't manufacture that. And I was happy that she was that happy. So she had a great match. I mean, her and Janai Kai, they really, really clicked together. It didn't look like she missed a beat. She looked like she was Jungle Kyona in 2019, 2020. She looked absolutely fantastic. The finish of the match was, I think Jungle ate something like 7 or 8 kicks in a row. Again, you're wrestling the kick demon. Why not, right? She ate 7 or 8 kicks in a row. She put Janai over. 2 of them shook hands. Again, standing ovation. Everybody chanting, "Please come back, please come back." So that was great. So she cut the curtain, and there's a lot of people congratulating her on a great match. Her and Janai, not to tell everybody what happens, but they checked on each other, make sure they were okay, because they were really laying their stuff, and rightfully so. I waited about a minute or two. I went over, shook her hand. I told her how much I liked the match, and she said, and she was asking me, and her English was very, very good, very, very good. She's like, was my match okay? Did you like it? What did you like? And we kind of said a joke. I said, we kind of shared a laugh together. I said, she kicked you a lot. And she goes, yeah, I know. I said, she kicked you a lot, kind of like Momo. And we had a good laugh there. And then I went to go leave not soon thereafter. I just wanted to get home at a halfway decent time. And when I was leaving, it was intermission, and my man Chio, he introduced me to the 2 owners of Garden State Wrestling, and I was just chatting up with them, and I noticed, because it was intermission, there was 3 or 4 merchandise tables, and everybody had a long line, but there was somebody that their line was 3 times longer than everybody else's. And I wasn't sure who that was. Now, I know the American Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, they were on the show. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett from the Kingdom, they were on the show, so I thought it might have been theirs. But as I was getting closer and closer towards the exit where I can see, it was Jungle's line. Jungle had to have 70, 80 people in that line. And I was so happy for her. So happy for her. I know she's wrestling back in New Jersey soon. I think she's wrestling in Chicago, Seattle. Looks like she's doing a really, really big, long tour. And we've seen when these wrestlers come over from either Mexico or England or Japan, sometimes they'll get used on an AEW Dark or just an AEW main show, or somewhere in Impact. So I would absolutely love, and I think AEW, Impact, any of those wrestling companies, I think they would be fools not to use Jungle Kyona on their show. I just think she just has the presence. She brings something completely different. And like I said, boy, she looked as good as ever. And again, just an absolute sweetheart of a person. If Jungle Kyona is wrestling on a show somewhere near you within driving distance, I cannot put the stamp of approval on this lady enough. You have to go. You absolutely have to go. As a listener, as a fan and friend of the Stardom Cast, I'm telling you, you have to go. And I noticed that Jungle's doing a lot of like a little bit of not the comic book conventions. She's doing like the Legends of Wrestling conventions. So she's doing a lot of autograph signings. If that's somewhere close by, you just need to go. You just need to meet her. Just an absolute just the nicest person. I did have a lot of people when I posted that picture on my social medias. They did ask me, did you tell Jungle about the podcast, the Stardom Cast? Folks, of course I did. I'm so proud of this podcast. I'm so proud of what Rob and Chris did, building this podcast up to kind of give it to me, and what me and Rob did with the podcast and what I'm doing now. I'm so proud about this podcast. Yeah, obviously I did. That's all I'm going to say. Stay tuned for more details. Fingers crossed. I'm kind of working on some things. I'm always working on trying to make this podcast bigger and better, not just for me, but most importantly for you, and just to spread the word about Stardom, because I think people need to see just how fantastic the wrestling is in Stardom, not only in 2022, not only what's going to happen in 2023, next year and going forward, but also in years 2014, 15. So, the pretty much the whole entire legacy of Stardom going back to 11 years. I think people really need to go back and watch that because Stardom is something super special. Okay, with that being said, folks, let's move on to the reviews of these two fantastic nights of wrestling action. We get a little drink there. All right, we will go right into night number 15. We start, and this took place in Osaka. We had 2 nights in Osaka back to back. This took place on the 17th of September. Crazy, man. We're just flying by. We're going to be on October soon. Just amazing. My daughter's going to be 18 in about a week. Wild. Time flies. Enjoy every second. Anywho, the first match, we have the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano and Waka going up against the Stars team of Momokogo and Koguma, going up against the really not any team of Amisori and Lady C. I guess the Twin Towers. I don't know which one's Akeem, which one's the big boss man. Regardless, we get some really good tag action from the Cosmic Angels team and the Stars team. Of course, makes sense. They're the 2 tag teams in the match. And then Amisori comes in and just pretty much decides to beat everybody up. Momo and Waka have some really good exchange. They have really, really good chemistry. And then the finish is Koguma hitting Waka with the top rope splash. 7 minutes, 26 seconds. Nothing too crazy here, but a good job warming up the crowd, which always gets, from me, the gentleman's 3 stars. Moving on to match number 2, we see our first block action as we go to the Blue Stars block, as we see Saya Iida coming in with 4 points, taking on Suzu Suzuki, who's coming in only at 2 points. I have a feeling we're going to see that number jack up, as I know this weekend coming up, she's wrestling Starlight Kid, and she's going to be making up for those 2 matches she missed with COVID. So, anywho, Suzu Suzuki lays in some heavy strikes to start and starts mocking Saya Iida's gorilla pose. Very rude, Suzu. Very rude. But if you've seen a few Saya Iida matches, you know what's going to happen. Saya Iida fires back quickly with some forearms and then some chops. Saya comes back with that sliding. I'm a big fan of that, how the sliding German, when she has her opponent like sitting on the second rope facing outwards, and she comes off the ropes and it's that sliding German. Beautiful. I love it how she works that into her repertoire. Crowd getting really behind Saya and Suzu Suzuki at this point. It's kind of like 50-50. But bottom line is they're making noise for both of these competitors. The crowd was really hot for these 2 shows. Saya fires back with the machine gun Kenta Kobashi style chops. Suzu Suzuki throws some stiff forearms and a stiff super kick. Eventually, Saya Iida gets the advantage back. She tries for the brain buster. Suzu Suzuki escapes. She hits the tequila shot for 2. And then she quickly goes after, she quickly stays on Saya Iida and hits the stalling German suplex for 3. This gets done just under 7 minutes. 3.5 stars. Really good match to start the block action. And that gets Suzu Suzuki up to 4 points. Match number 3 or 2 of this tournament, we go to the Red Stars block action as we see Unagi, who's really coming along here in this tournament. She's really had, even though she has 2 points, coming in with 2 points, versus Micah coming in with 10. Unagi, to me, was having kind of just like a middle-of-the-road tournament. And then she had that really, really good match with Tam. And then she had this one, which I thought was equally as good. This is really good. As soon as the bell rings, these 2 trade big boots and forearms. Unagi hits the X Factor, and then Micah quickly comes back up and hits the Buzz Sawyer-style power slam. This action is fast and furious right out the get-go. These 2 do not waste any time. They're maximizing every second they have in their ring. Unagi comes back with a flapjack and that signature arm capture DDT that she uses with her leg. I'm a big fan of that, how she does that. Unagi's got a pretty cool moveset. Micah tries to use the lariat, but Unagi keeps booting Micah's arm out of the air. I thought that was really cool, how she would just keep trying to throw this lariat because that's kind of like her go-to to either create separation or to build up to the Michinoku driver, and Unagi knew it. Unagi's doing a really good job getting that Yakuza kick over, and she just kept booting her arm out of the way. I thought that was really, really cool. I was a big fan of that. Unagi almost boots Micah out of the ring, Unagi hits the Mad Splash. Glad she brought that back. I haven't seen that in a while. She hits the Mad Splash for 2. Shout out to Seema. Micah finally hits the Lariat and then follows up with a Rolling Lariat for 2, and then is able to finally put Unagi away with the Michinoku Driver. 6 minutes, 50 seconds, another sub 7-minute match, 3.5 stars. That gets Micah up to 12 points, and that Red Stars block is starting to get a little bit top heavy here. A lot of people with over 10 points, as again, we're coming up on the final few shows. Kind of wondered how it's going to shake out. One thing I do know is that the matches will be excellent. We go to match number 4 of the evening as we see Mai Sakurai coming in with 8 points. Crazy. I thought 2, 4, at the most 6. She's coming with 8 points. Risa Sera coming in at 10. I figured that's where she would have been, 10, 12 points. They're doing a really good job getting Risa over. Risa's got this really cool, I've noticed this, really cool entrance music, and even like her entrance, like with the robe and how she waits like the 30 or 40 seconds until the music hits at a certain point to come in, and her demeanor coming out to the ring is, she looks dangerous, but yet she looks calm and confident. I'm a big fan of the total package that is Risa Sera. Really good job getting her over in this tournament. My blitz is Risa Sera. As soon as the bell rings again, we have the main reason why the 2 girls from Prominence are here, Risa Sera and Suzu Suzuki, is to get revenge on Julia for leaving them in Ice Ribbon. Obviously, Mai Sakurai is Julia's understudy. The whole reason why Mai Sakurai left Cosmic Angels and joined Donald Del Mundo, because she wanted to fight under Julia. So she's basically here honoring Julia. So Mai Sakurai, right out the get-go, blitzes Risa Sera. As soon as she gets in the ring, these two trade blows until Mai Sakurai hits a Yakuza kick, sending Risa Sera out to the outside. This, of course, leads to a wild brawl that Risa Sera gets the advantage. She uses the giant swing outside and throws poor Mai Sakurai into the front row. The two brawl all the way up on the entrance ramp. Mai Sakurai gets the advantage and decides that she wants to try to take the entranceway apart. She realizes she can't, so then she goes back into the gorilla position, and she gets one of the cross beams. I was like, holy jeez, this thing's crazy. To try to take it apart as a weapon, these two just wind up brawling all over the building here. Eventually, Risa Sera gets the giant swing again, the second time. Double count out. I got no problem with this. I'm a big fan of double. If you're going to do a draw, give me the double count out, especially in this setting. This was completely different than pretty much any match, not only on the show, but maybe in the whole tournament. I mean, considering the fact that 90% of it took place outside. And folks, I've been watching wrestling a long time, and I've been watching a lot of Stardom. Shocker, right? Over the last year and a half. Man, I don't remember anybody ever trying to take apart part of the entrance ramp to do damage. You know, I say all the time, and I'll say it again, I'm not a big fan of Momo using that wrench. But at least the wrench is a lot easier to hit your opponent with than the entranceway. I thought this was really good. 3.25 stars. Double count out. Then that takes Mai Sakurai up to 9 and Risa Sera up to 11. I wasn't sure when they did the double count out. I was like, well, I know if it goes to a draw, I know each gets a 1 point, like a time limit draw. But since it's a double count out, they still get the points, and then they did a good job showing the graphic, showing that each member did get 1 point. So kudos to Star. I don't put that enough over. About before and after all the matches, they show the point total. That just because there's so many numbers. Speaking of numbers, we go to number 5 as we go on to the Blue Stars block, as we see Mirai coming with 10 points, taking on Mina Shirakawa coming in with 6 points. Folks, I absolutely love this match. As soon as this match was over, I sent a tweet out how much I enjoyed this match. This match was laced with so much great psychology, so much great storytelling, and the perfect amount of selling. This is like, if you're on a card and you have a lot of younger talent, not even younger talent, but like talent that's like more athletic than you, that can do all the flips. Like the main event of this show is Natsupoi and Starlight Kid. I think everybody underneath the show was like, yeah, we're not going to be more athletic than those two. We're not going to cut the pace as fast as they do. Let's do something different. Mina, she's improved so much on her strikes. Mariah is a heavy striker. Mina, we saw it the show before, tapped out, or maybe not the show before, maybe the show before that. Regardless, tapped out Amisori with the figure 4 leg lock, who's Mariah's tag partner. The psychology and the storytelling is right there. So the two of them have some really good ground grappling to begin. I thought that was somewhere that Mariah would absolutely squash Mina. But Mina was really good. Her transitions, knowing where to go, like her foot movement, her pivot movement. I thought that was something that really, really impressed me. I thought that was great. She really holds her own with Mirai there. And she actually baits Mirai into giving her a foot and tries for the figure four. Mirai slips out. And then she uses the Muda style drop kick onto Mirai's leg. Start the psychology, start building up the leg work. Mirai goes after Mina's arm. She does like the mini lariat that she did to Tam's arm in the tag title match on the pay-per-view just a few weeks ago. So there's your build. There's your build. There's your psychology. Mirai going after Mina's arm. Mina going after Mirai's leg to set up for their respective submissions. I thought that was really good. Mina does a good job creating separation and going back to Mirai's leg. I thought that was really, really good. Even using the dragon screw. She didn't use the dragon screw on Ami Sourei. I don't think she did. This is, I think, the first time I've seen her use it. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I think she did a great job. I thought it looked fantastic. Really, really, akin to, I guess, the guy she's really channeling here, and Keiji Muto, the Great Muto. That's not a bad person to steal your stuff from. She does a great job with it. Mina locks on the figure four, which Mirai is selling here is absolutely brilliant. Mirai gets out of the figure four, hits a lariat, but Mina pops up using that fighting spirit and hits the low-angled Muta-style dropkick. Crowd is really, really hot for this, especially at this point. Mina tries the back fist, the spinning back fist. When she does, Mirai catches it into the double wrist lock, which she was kind of going towards the whole entire match, was working on that arm. I thought that was great. It was like she was waiting for Mina to bait her in. Mina's hitting her big strikes, and the big finale is the spinning back fist. So it was like almost Mirai saying, okay, like, I only have one leg. I'm going to eat these forearms and these kicks I know it's going to set up for the spinning back fist. And that's my one opportunity to grab that bad arm I've been working on and go to my double wrist lock. And the fact that Mina didn't tap out right away, one, it just shows her strength and shows like her toughness. And two, they waited for the right time to tap until they had the crowd right where they needed to. They did a good job teasing that Mina was going to get to the ropes, and Mirai had to keep switching her body in different areas to block her from the ropes. I thought that was really good. Mina winds up tapping 10 minutes, 35 seconds, 4.25 stars. Folks, if you haven't seen this match yet, and you're somebody young, inspiring to get into wrestling, or you just want to see something different. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of all the wrestlers that can do all the flips and they're super athletic. That's great. But this is just something that is just storytelling. You could storytelling any, deathmatch, lucha, aerial, it doesn't matter. You can do your storytelling anyway. But this is just an old school way of telling a story and sucking the crowd in with basic selling. And that's what these two did. This was great. Like I said, 4.25 stars. Absolutely love this. Mina Shirakawa to me is like the most improved wrestler, not only in Stardom, but I think anywhere in the world, from what I've seen in these in these 10 months here that we're in 2020. Moving on, we go, and that takes Mirai up to 12 points. Again, a lot of wrestlers starting to hit that double digits there, not only in the Red Stars, but the Blue Stars. We go back to Red Stars block. Speaking of double digits, Utami Aishita, the former champion, the Red Queen, my pick to win the Red Stars block, taking on Saki Kashima, coming in with 6 points. Again, I probably had Saki 4 or 6 points for this tournament. You never know who she's going to roll up. They both start by mocking Tam. Oh, how dare they? How dare they? Saki tries to sucker the Red Queen into the Kishikasai right away, but Utami doesn't fall for it. Utami starts working on Saki's back, using a half crab, and then once Saki gets to the ropes, she starts lariating that back. Really good psychology there, trying to take away, basically, Saki's size advantage there. Saki comes back with a head scissors, but Utami comes back with a lariat. Utami really stays on Saki. She had like 90% of the match here. She goes for the torture rack bomb, but Saki counters into the Kishikasai. 6 minutes, 53 seconds is all it took to get this done. And Saki Kashima in this tournament has pinned the last two World of Stardom champions. She pins Utami here, and earlier on, she had pinned Shuri. 3.25 stars. And that's what's great about this tournament. You never know who, like Saki or Koguma, or now Mei Sakurai, who are they going to possibly roll up? Speaking of Shuri, we stay in the Red Stars block action as we see Shuri, the World of Stardom champion, coming in with 10 points, taking on Saki, just plain Saki, from Colors. Tight lockup to start. You know that I was going to put that over. Saki's got some really good lockups. I'm a big fan of that. Shuri's able to counter Saki's wrestling with strikes, and she uses a straight armbar. As soon as Saki starts to build some momentum, Shuri goes back to the ground and pound offense, and then goes right back to that armbar again. Again, she's a shooter. Saki hits a superplex followed by a few Yakuza kicks. She gets a near fall. Big fan of how she throws the Yakuza kicks like from all angles and then finishes like her grand finale is the one to the back of the head or the back of the neck. I thought that was really cool. She follows up with a pump handle blue thunderbound for 2. The 2 trade strikes into the middle of the ring until Sherry just has enough and just drops Saki with a forearm mid-kick exchange. I thought that was just brutal. And just the way that Sherry sold her offensive strikes, I thought that was great. Saki is able to fight through the pain, and as Sherry's coming off the ropes with a running knee, she gets suckered into a Michinoku driver and another sliding boot for 2. She hits her corkscrew suplex. She goes off the top rope for the double knees. She misses. Sherry hits the running knee strike and locks in an armbar. Saki winds up getting to the rope. Sherry pulls her off with some brutal strikes. She hits 2 buzzsaw kicks and then follows up with the Ruin for the win. 11 minutes, 52 seconds. 4 stars for me. This is the best Saki match of this tournament, in my opinion. Excellent job, and that takes Sherry up to 12 points, leaving Saki at 6. We go over to match number 8 and the main event of this solid show. As we go into the Blue Stars block, Natsupoi quietly has 10 points. I had to go back when I was writing down the statistics for this match. I had to go back and look, and I was like, she has 10 points. And like, nobody's really talking about it. Everybody's just talking about the abuse that poor Hazuki is giving her this past month or so. And Starlight Kid coming in with 6. First half of the match is just incredible. Just for strikes and high-speed offense, these two picking up where they left off from their feud earlier in the year and last year as well. I mean, these two just don't miss a beat. Starlight Kid sends Natsupoi to the outside where she hits her perfect Asai moonsault. They go back in the ring. Natsupoi hits a series of drop kicks that sends Starlight Kid to the opposite side of the ring where she was, and Natsupoi hits her crossbody dive. So really cool psychology spot there. They kind of even out with the high-speed offense. Starlight Kid hits the Asai moonsault on one side of the ring. They switch it back up. Natsupoi uses the drop kicks to send Starlight Kid to the other side of the ring, and Natsupoi hits the her beautiful dive. Big fan of that. As Kid gets back in the ring, Natsupoi hits that beautiful boot scrape drop kick that I'm such a huge fan of, and then German suplex onto the apron. But Starlight Kid, fighting spirits out of it, and pops up and hits a tiger suplex onto the apron, and then the two of them let the crowd breathe. I thought that was really cool how the action was fast and furious. Poi hits the one apron bump, Starlight Kid hits the other apron bump, and then the two of them just kind of collapse on the outside, and they do a great job selling, and then they really start pacing themselves a little bit better here as they let the crowd breathe and really get up for these two. And then the two of them start brawling all over the building. They eventually get back in the ring where Starlight Kid gets the advantage but misses a moonsault. Poi then hits a series of release German suplexes. Poi connects with that low spin kick, the one that she caught Hana with to get the win, but she gets only 2 here. Natsupoi follows up with a Pharaoh gift for 2. Natsupoi tries the fairy strain, but Starlight Kid rolls through and locks in the Black Tiger leg crusher killer submission. That's a mouthful to say. Eventually, Natsupoi gets to the ropes to break up that hold, but Starlight Kid stays on her. She hits the moonsault for 2. Kid hits the Black Tiger driver, but Natsupoi reverses the pin attempt for 2. Again, I'm not a big fan of that. I see that quite a bit. That's like one of your go-to moves, and not only does it not put you down for 3, but as soon as you cover, the other person is able to hook the legs and roll back through. Regardless, Starlight Kid quickly hits the double knees, the shotgun knees to the back, almost like she's stealing a Momo's Meteor. We've seen Momo do that quite a bit. So, hey, they are tag partners. She sets a Poi onto the top rope, and she hits the Spanish Fly, or as she calls it, the Eternal Foe, for the win. 13 minutes, 26 seconds. This was my favorite match of the 2 nights. I had this, no, I'm sorry, it was my second favorite match. This is my favorite match of this night. 4.5 stars. Starlight Kid pops up to 8 points. We move on to night 16, which took place the very next day, the 18th of September. We start out with some tag action as the as we see the Queen's Quest team of Lady C, one of my favorite and most underutilized people in all of Stardom, teaming with Utami, taking on Momo Kogo and Saida. So you get some really good, solid double team moves to start from Saida and Momo Kogo. And I have in parentheses, I really hope to see these two in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, which will probably be starting in just a few weeks. So probably in about a week or two, we'll probably know the competitors. Obviously, we're going to get Maika, Himika teaming together, Tam, Natsupoi. But Momo Kogo and Saeed as a team, I don't expect them to get a whole bunch of wins, but I expect them to do kind of like what Momo, Saeed, and Hana are doing in this tournament and just having really, really good matches and raising their stake. I would love to see Momo Kogo and Saeed, like I said, teaming in this tournament. Anywho, Lady C chops poor Momo Kogo into next week. Utami gets taken down with some really good double team moves from, again, Momo Kogo and Saeed. Lady C actually makes the save with the double giant Baba line. I thought it was cool that obviously Utami's the biggest star in the match, and she was the one in the most trouble. So that was a good job for Lady C to come in and kind of make the save. Utami winds up pinning Saida with the German suplex. 6 minutes, 52 seconds, 3.5 stars. This was really good. All four ladies looked really good. Obviously, the big star in the match is Utami. She did a good job kind of backing off a little bit and letting Lady C get her shine in. And again, to me, the highlight of the match was the double team work from Momo and Saida. So if you were listening, Stardom, please put them in for Tag League. We go to the second match of the evening, our first block match of the evening. We go to the Red Stars as we see Koguma coming in with 8 points, taking on Unagi, again, still only at 2 points. Unagi, super aggressive. As soon as the bell rings, even right before the bell rings, shoots the code breaker and the big boot, sending Koguma to the outside. You can see she's just desperate for points. She's mathematically eliminated from this tournament, but she's still trying to make a good showing. Koguma cuts Unagi off the top rope. The two of them go back to the outside where they start brawling on the apron. Koguma eventually hits a dive onto Utami. They go back onto the apron again, and they do a little strike battle, which Unagi gets the better of, and Koguma takes like this, almost like Mick Foley light style bump. I don't know if she slipped or she just wanted to take a big bump. There was like a big thud that I don't think enough people are talking about. It's a good thing those mats were there because she really smacked herself on the apron, but she got up, not right away, didn't no sell it, but she got up, didn't seem to have any problems. She probably just took that bump just right. God bless her. And to me, it made Unagi look like a killer there. Because, she almost did. Back to the ring they go. Koguma hits the Koguma cutter and a DDT for 2. Unagi hits the stroke. I noticed that she's using like the Jeff Jarrett stroke and the Mad Splash for 2. Unagi goes for the shell shock. Again, I'll always call it the shell shock. But she gets rolled up in the Kuma roll for 3.25 stars, 6 minutes, 15 seconds. And that puts Koguma double digits as well, up to 10 points. The finalist of this year's Cinderella tournament is trying to make her climb, trying to get to the finals of this 5-star Grand Prix. We go to the Red Stars block as we see Mei Sakurai with 9 points. It's crazy, right? She had to qualify for this tournament. 9 points. Right, talking about Mina being one of the most improved wrestlers in all of wrestling. Mei Sakurai is just right there. We still got 3 months left. So, I mean, she could take the crown there for most improved wrestler. She's doing such a great job. She's taking on Saki. Saki from Colors. Red Stars block action. Forearm exchange between the two to start. Mei gets the better of the strike exchange. I'm a big fan of her forearms and her big boots. I like how she changed those two together. Saki uses some counter wrestling to get the advantage and locks in the pendulum swing on Mei Sakurai. Not enough wrestlers do that anymore. She's like the only one that I've seen do it really in the last 5 or 6 years. It's good old Saki. Mei fights back with the big boot and a second rope elbow for 2. And when Rob hated that second rope elbow, now it looks really good. And I love it when she does it with Julia. Saki comes back with the running boot and then hits the Wild Buster suplex. I had to write that down. That is a cool name. That running corkscrew suplex she does, called the Wild Buster. 6 minutes, 4 seconds, 3.25 stars, and that puts Saki up to, what's that, 8 points? Yep, I want to make sure my math is right. Saki, 8 points, so respectable showing for her. Obviously, she's got a few more matches. Even if she doesn't break the double digits, 8 points for somebody that just came into the promotion, and this is your first 5-star, very respectable. We move on to match number 4, Blue Stars block action. Starlight Kid starting to pile up these wins. She's coming in 8 points, taking on Mina Shirakawa. Again, great showing for Mina this weekend. Starlight Kid goes after Mina's knee, but eventually Mina escapes, and she's able to avoid, and she goes after Starlight Kid's knee. Eventually, Starlight Kid turns the table. She hits a standing moonsault early on in the match onto Mina's knee. I thought that was really cool. And then Mina winds up firing back with some forearms, and then hits the Muda dropkick, pretty early on in the match. as you see the psychology setting in as she's going after Starlight Kid's knee. One, sets up for her submission, and two, taking away Starlight Kid's speed. So they get a two for one deal on that one. Good job, Mina. Kid hits the arm drag off the top rope. Mina pops right up, hits the roaring elbow, and then Kid pops up from that and hits the shotgun knees. Crowd really getting behind Mina here as Starlight Kid starts really laying her stuff in. Mina hits the enziguri, roaring elbow to the back of that, draping DDT combination that she's really doing a great job getting over and knowing where to put it in the match to get the most out of it. Gets a 2 count there. Mina goes for a German suplex, which I've never seen her do before, so what were you doing there, Mina? Starlight Kid rolls through and then locks in the Black Tiger leg crusher killer submission. And then she's been pretty much building to the whole entire match. Mina escapes and she hits the Dragon Screw leg whip and then puts Starlight Kid right into the figure 4. Really good selling for Starlight Kid here. She escapes the figure 4 leg lock and she hits the Black Tiger driver onto Mina, but she can't follow up because of the hurt knee. Eventually, she gets Mina's knee, hits the low angle Dragon Screw leg whip, and then she puts in the Black Tiger leg crusher killer submission. 9 minutes 27 seconds. Mina Shirakawa forced to tap. 4 stars. Another match that is laid in with really good psychology, really good movement, really good timing, and goes just under 10 minutes. Excellent job from both these fantastic competitors. Match number 5, we go to the Blue Stars block. Again, Ami Sourei, 10 points. She had to qualify for this tournament. Obviously, she did by running through the whole entire qualifying field. She's coming in with 10 points, and Julia coming in with 11. I did not realize that these two were that close. So obviously, this is a must-win match for both these ladies, especially for Julia, who is the odds-on favorite from most people to win this tournament. Great lockup between these two to start. Really super impressed on Julia's submissions. And even when, here's a cheap plug for the Patreon, and even just about done doing the Julia Wonder Stardom Championship reign for the Patreon members that'll be dropping at the end of this month. I'm just a big fan of how she changed her submissions, how when she goes for one thing, if she doesn't get the submission right away, she goes to something else. That's very catch wrestling. It's very like out of the Billy Robinson playbook for submission holds. If I have somebody in a submission hold and I'm not getting the submission right away, do I want to keep on it? Well, maybe you can, but if something else is there, maybe I go to that. Obviously, huge fan of catch wrestling and Billy Robinson. So, Julia, you get even 2 bigger thumbs up from me, as I'm already a giant fan of you. So keep it up with your fantastic submissions. Ami Sourei hits a DVD and a high-angle Boston Crab for first advantage of the match. These two fire up on each other with some really big strikes, but Julia, who wins the forearm battle by hitting some rapid forearms and dropping Ami Sourei to her knees. I thought that was really good. Really cool visuals. Ami Sourei is obviously the bigger, stronger of the two. Really puts over Julia's striking advantage, or her strikes. Ami Sourei eventually fires back with some brutal chops. Julia, and then she hits a clothesline. She sets Julia up for the brain buster, but Julia escapes at the backdrop driver. Big fan of that move. Ami Sourei escapes that and hits a series of lariats and a giant blue thunder bomb, which she kind of only did with one arm. She was like almost like selling her arm on the way up, and then like brought it on the way down, which I thought just added to Julia's submission games. She follows up with a corkscrew brainbuster, and she only gets 2. She goes for the life. This is a really cool finish. She goes for the like a thunderbolt. We've seen people escape this. You know, you're basically in the power slam position. We've seen people escape this hold quite a bit. But as Julia, so you figure Julia would just like slip back or roll her up, but she lets Ami like drop like in the seated position, and Julia just like stands up, and Ami's already like sitting down, so she has the height advantage there. And then she locks into Bianca. They sell it for a little bit, and then Ami Sourei taps out at 12 minutes. Really great match, really great psychology, super creative and cool finish. For me, 4 stars. Excellent job. Blue Stars block action. We see a rematch for one of my favorite matches of the year, as Mirai coming in with 12 points, going up against Saya Kamitani, the Wonder Stardom champion. 12 points as well. When these two had their match a few months ago on pay-per-view, I had this one at 5 stars. Probably my second or third favorite Stardom match of the year. I would really have to sit down and kind of write it out. But I was a huge fan of this match. So I figured this one, and they both were coming at 12 points. So this is must win, for the two. Not only do you get the point advantage, or then you get the tiebreaker advantage as well. So back and forth, some wrestling to start. Saya Kamatani's speed cuts off Mirai's strength. Um, and then the current Cinderella champion uses some tackles and clotheslines to start wearing down and slowing down Saya's high speed and high paced offense. Some really good forearm exchanges between the two. Saya escapes the mere Mirai shock and lands 2 spin kicks that sends Mirai to the floor. That sets up for the picture-perfect springboard plancha, which Joey Styles would say, to the outside. Saya then puts Mirai into the ring, hits the Star Crusher kind of early on. She wasn't really wearing Mirai down, so when she hit it, I was like, oh. She goes to the top rope for the 450, but Mirai knows, no, cannot have that happen. Mirai pulls Saya Kamatani off the ropes and the back of Saya's head, hits the top of the rope, but that one was actually pretty safe considering the fact that Saya Kamatani just seems content on not only being Wrestler of the Year, but getting close to injuring her neck. Anywho, I thought Mirai did a good job protecting her on what sometimes could be a not good looking bump. Saya comes back with a Hurricanrana and a huge pump kick for 2. She goes for the Star Crusher again. Mirai escapes. She hits a lariat to the back of Saya's neck. She hits one to the front and then 2 thunderous ones coming off the rope for just the count of 2. Mirai quickly tries to capitalize on all the damage that's done to Saya's neck. As soon as she hits the mirror Mirai shock, the time limit expires. Really good match. I had this at 4 stars. Nowhere near as good, in my opinion, as their championship match, but anytime you get a 4-star ranking from me, and you have the crowd in the palm of your hand, especially towards the end, and your name is Saya Kamatani and or Mirai, you more than likely did a good job. So excellent job, ladies. 4 stars. And again, they're now at 13. I thought, okay, this is going to kind of break the tie break in 2 different ways. And they're both at 13, and the 2 of them finish at the top of the block. What happens? Because you had a time limit draw. So something to take into consideration as we're coming up on the end of this tournament. It's getting close. It's getting dicey, folks. Okay, we move on to the Red Stars block. As we see Risa Sera coming with 11 points, taking on everybody's favorite, one Miss Tam Nakano. Tam coming in at 10 points. And they were able to have backstage interviews, which I thought was good. Risa Sera was very, the 2 of them were very, almost like violent in their promos. Like Tam talking about like how she was she was excited for all the back scars on Risa Sera, and just very intense promo. Anywho, Tam connects with a knee early on that sends Risa Sera, the pump knee to the jaw that sends Risa Sera flying to the outside as Tam tries to kick Risa. She tries the penalty kick on to Risa Sera. Risa grabs Tam's leg. Tam takes a bump on the apron and she gets caught in the giant swing. Folks, this is like 2 minutes into the match. The giant swing and launches poor Tam Nakano into the front row. Risa then throws a tag belt at Tam. She holds it up right to the camera, takes the tag belt and throws it at Tam. So, and even at the end of this match, and which we'll get to, they do a good job foreshadowing that Risa Sera wants to come for the tag belt. So maybe Risa Suzu versus Tam and Natsupoi. That's a match that I didn't think that I wanted until I saw Risa hold up the Goddess of Stardom Championship. I don't think they would have done that spot if it's not building towards something. The booking in Stardom is just too good to kind of just throw that one away. So Risa Sera then sends Tam through 5 rows of chairs, and then she drags her back in the ring. Risa really starts to dominate Tam here. I mean, it just seems like Tam got the early jump on her, and then once she got hit with the giant swing, it was almost like all downhill from here. She hits a power bomb into the buckle, and then the double knees coming out of the buckle, and then locks in the Boston Crab. So really putting a beating on poor Tam here. Tam does a great job selling and fighting from beneath, trying to come back from behind to rally. It's a really good job there. Risa tries for the air raid crash on the apron, but Tam counters with the cutter onto the floor. This is a matchup just to see, and they said in the promo, just who's crazier. Like Risa Sera's this deathmatch person, but like Tam's taking her Karanas and onto the floor onto nobody and dives off like the entranceway, like just insane. So this match is gonna be insane. Tam looks like pissed at this point after she hits that big dive after the cutter on the floor. Tam fires up. She just looks pissed off and annoyed at this point and she starts lighting Risa Sarah up with kicks and spin kicks and some brutal forearms. Tam hits a second rope German suplex, and then she goes for like a double underhook something, and it looked like it turned into a pile driver. I don't think that's how it was supposed to go planned, but the way that she landed okay, and you can see Daichi, the ref, checked on Risa Sarah. Thank God she was okay, because that looked ugly. Risa comes back with some forearms. She hits the sit-out DVD for 2, and she follows up with the air raid crash, which usually leads to her double knees, which we've seen her win a few matches with in this tournament. She misses, though. Tam follows up with a tiger suplex. Risa gets out, and she eats this big, stiff forearm that the crowd really came up for. Ooh. So I'm a big fan of that. It takes me back to the Nippon Budokan days of Mitsuharu Misawa, when he would throw those brutal forearms, the whole crowd would just gasp. We got a lot of that in the main event, which we'll get to. Risa goes back to the air raid crash, but Tam winds up capturing Risa's arm and then throws her legs over so she can get the pin advantage and the cradle for the 3 count. 12 minutes, 38 seconds, 4 stars for me. This was a really great match. And just as like you're going to see bombs getting thrown, Tam was like, no, I'm just going to just roll you up because I know how to do that. And I just need 3 seconds to win. So excellent job. And that takes Tam to 12 points. And it's getting closer for her to get to the leaderboard. Like I said, a lot of people have her winning the Red Stars block. So again, we shall see. We float over to the co-main event of the evening, my favorite match of these 2 nights. Momo Watanabe coming in with 6 points. Suzu Suzuki coming in with 4 points. Blue Stars block action. Action quickly between these two spills outside. You knew this was going to happen. Momo, a little more of a brawler now that she's joined Oedo Tai back at the end of the year. Obviously, Risa Sarah has that death match experience, so we know that she's very comfortable brawling on the outside. So we knew this one would spill out to the outside pretty quickly, and it does almost right from the jump. Momo starts peppering Suzu with some kicks and then throws her back in the ring, and she keeps the onslaught of kicks coming back and forth. Suzu counters Momo's strikes and hits she gets her into the turnbuckle, hits that sliding German that I put over, that I thoroughly enjoyed before. I've talked about it before. And then she follows up with the Josie dropkick. Shout out Shane Hagedorn one time. The two start rocking each other with some stiff and solid strikes and some forearms that, again, the crowd, they were just, anytime Momo would kick Suzu, or Suzu would throw those brutal forearms. Like she threw like 2 or 3 forearms like right in a row that Momo kind of just shrugged off, and then Momo hit a big forearm. And like Momo's forearms, they don't get enough credit. I think it's because she's such a really good kicker. It's like getting hit with a tree, and then like the forearms are just getting hit with a brick. Would you rather get hit with a brick or like a big tree? I think I'd rather get hit with the brick, but it's like still sucks. But Momo throws like one forearm that just floored his poor Suzu, and the crowd was really up for that. And the strike exchange between these two was just great. Momo hits the top rope Uranagi, and then she does the 3 meteors, one to the back, one to the front, one to the top rope, just for 2. As soon as Suzu kicks out, Momo keeps the pressure on with the crossface chicken wing, and she winds up throwing Suzu on top of the top rope, draping, and hits this beautiful, huge, and disgusting head kick that, again, the crowd was like audibly gasping for. Suzu spills out to the apron where Momo hits the B driver onto the apron. This match was like classic Momo. As much as like the Oedo Tai stuff's been like, most of it's been pretty good. Some of it I'm like, but this match was like, this match felt like Queen's Quest Momo with just a little bit of a heel twist, if that makes any sense. Back to the outside this match goes. Momo distracts the referee, which allows that Dashley Starlight Kid to hit Suzu Suzuki with a chair. Eventually, Suzu turns the tables as she hits this brutal chair shot onto Momo's back, and then she throws a chair shot at the head of Starlight Kid. Starlight Kid wisely gets her hands up, not a fan of head chair shots. But that one to Momo's back was just, it was safe, but yet brutal. So you're good. I thought it was a really cool spot. Like, you got the deathmatch worker here. You think you're getting one up on her. Absolutely not, as she takes out both the former champs with the Oedo Tai chair. Suzu gets Momo, throws her back in the ring and starts dominating Momo. She's starting to get pissed off. She has her in the mount position, starts raining down forearms on the former white belt champion. The two of them trade suplexes back and forth. Eventually Suzu feeds into the bastard driver, which she kicks out of 2. Crowd, again, really into this, especially for the strikes. Momo hits a brutal punt kick, and then the tequila sunrise for 2. She goes for the peach sunrise, but she escapes with a super kick, a stiff headbutt. Starlight Kid gets on the apron to try to distract the ref so Momo can use the wrench, but it fires back, and Momo throws this wrench out that makes such a sound that, again, the crowd, like 5 or 6 times in this match, the crowd audibly gasps. And then she hits the tequila shot, only gets 2, but just like she did the night before, she doesn't let it deter her, as she quickly goes to the locomotion German suplexes, hitting 1, but not 1, but 2, for the win. 13 minutes, 27 seconds, 4.5 stars. Absolutely love this match. This match may rank in my top 10 as far as favorite matches of this tournament. This match was right up my alley. Hard-hitting wrestling, fighting spirit, crowd getting into, like, the crowd was reacting on the strikes. That was their biggest reaction. And then the match ended with 3 big bumps back to back to back, getting Suzu Suzuki not only 2 more points in the tournament, that takes her up to 6 points, but gets her a main event win. And she gets to close the show, and which was really, really cool. Really cool. So you had 2 really excellent matches, and then maybe a tease for Suzu and Risa Sera against Tam and Natsupoi for the Goddess of Stardom Championships. So that'll wrap it up for this episode, folks. As again, there's one more show that has to be uploaded to Stardom World. It looks like they're doing them it was Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'm assuming the next day. I'm recording this on a Wednesday, so I can get this to my main man, Sean. Sean's crushing in fantasy football already. Congratulations, brother. So I believe probably the next show will be available Thursday, so I will be reviewing probably 3 shows, because we have Stardom and Showcase of Volume 2, Electric Boogaloo, and then we have 2 nights of 5-star Grand Prix action as well. So that's going to be something really interesting. So we might have another loaded hour-and-a-half show. So, and also, I just looked at the card for, I believe this is the Saturday show. We have, this is, I'm just going to run through this real quick and give quick predictions. So we have Hana versus Mina Shirakawa. I'm going to say Mina wins that one. Starlight Kid versus Saida. I'm going to say Starlight Kid. We have Momo Kogo versus Maika. That was going to be Maika. Unagi versus Himika. I think Himika is going to get a loss here. I think Unagi, she's starting to really pick up the pace in her matches, and she needs some points. And I think that Himika has just a little bit too many points here. I think she needs to be cooled off. I'm going to say Unagi for the upset. Ami Sori versus Suzu Suzuki. Boy, howdy. Suzu Suzuki wins that one. Match that I'm probably looking forward most in this tournament. We've seen this match a dozen times. It never disappoints. Mayu Iwatani versus Momo Watanabe. I'm going to say Momo, because I think that it's getting a little top heavy on the Blue Stars block. Tam Nakano versus Utami. Ooh. I have Utami. I have Utami winning the block, but a lot of people have Tam. I'm going to say Utami wins that one. And then this way, if it gets to a tiebreak after the finals, Utami goes through. Oh, that's another tough one. And then how about this one? Saya Kamatani versus Julia. I think they're both tied at 13 points. Yeah, I think it's a 3-way tie for second place. It's Julia, Saya, and Mariah at 13 points. Now, again, I did not watch the show that happened on Monday, so I don't know what happened there. And Hazuki's at 14. So, oh, geez. Julia. Yeah, I think Julia's going to just clear everything out. I mean, it's her tournament to win. And then what I guess is the main event. God bless these 3 ladies. High-speed championship match. Fukin Death, Azumi, Hazuki. Wow. How come that's not the pay-per-view? And the Stardom Showcase looks like a fun show. But I would pay way more money to see that show than Stardom Showcase. We do have Suzu Suzuki versus Starlight Kid that I'm looking forward to. And I believe it's Saida and Hana. I think that's a match where I think Hana's going to get her first 2 points. And then we have the 3 Grim Reapers taking on, who was it? Sai Kamatani, Utami, Lady C. I wonder who the other Grim Reapers will be. We shall see. But that is going to, well, before I wrap it up, shout out to our sponsor, to puro.tv.com. Use the keyword Vista10. Save 10% off all your orders. I ordered, I said this last week, I ordered the Arisa Hoshinki double DVD set. Artwork is absolutely fantastic, and the DVD menus are fantastic as well. Again, that's puro.tv.com. Vista, Vista 10, gets 10% off your order. And for all of our Patreon listeners, the Io Shirai World of Stardom Championship reign, the V10, her first one, that just dropped, getting some fantastic reviews on that. Again, the Julia Wonder of Stardom reign, that'll be in your feeds at the end of this month. I think I have 1 or 2 matches to watch. I think I'm probably recorded this weekend, so this way you have it for the end of the month. This past week, we just watched for the the Red Tier belt members. We did our watch along to last year's 5-star Grand Prix match with Mayu Iwatani versus Julia. And this week coming up, we're going to watch, I guess we're on the Jungle Kyona train. We're going to go back to 2000, I'm not sure where I have it, 2017's 5-star as Io Shirai takes on Jungle Kyona. Never seen that match before, so I'll be recording that this week. That'll be in the feed for the Red Tier. I better wrap this up. Red Tier Block Patreon members coming up this Monday. I didn't do my top 5 matches. So top 5 matches again, off the top of my head. Number 5, I'm going to say, just because I rewatched it, Hazuki and Starlight Kid. 4, Julia Starlight Kid. 3, Hazuki Julia. 2, Shiri versus Utami. 1, Mayu Iwatani and Julia. Those are my top 5 matches. Again, when this whole entire tournament wraps up, we will be doing a special episode where I will be recapping everything. I'm going to go back and watch a good majority of the matches as much as I can. I do have some vacation coming up, but I am going to New York for New York Comic Con. Yay ha! If you're going to New York Comic Con, let me know. Drop me a line. We shall meet up. But I'm going to be going through a good majority of what I have the top rated matches, and then I'll probably do a list of my top 10 matches. But that's another story for another day, as I am going to put a pin in this. Again, I thank everybody so much for the support. If you have not done so, please go over to iTunes. Leave me a 5-star review. Leave a comment if you would like. This way it does really help the algorithm out, as we are trying to get this podcast, not only this podcast, but just Stardom in general, out to as many people as possible. I mean, people just need to be watching this tournament. Not only this tournament, but Stardom in general. But this tournament is just absolutely fantastic. There's so many great matches in this tournament. There's so much great psychology and storytelling in these matches that everybody, whether you're a fan or somebody in the business, somebody that wants to be in the business, you need to be watching Stardom. You really do. You don't want to subscribe to the service. It's $7 and there's no app. I get it. We want everything so quick and so easy. Just watch We Are Stardom. I mean, that YouTube channel is just fantastic. You get a lot of stuff there. So let's just try to spread not only this podcast, but the fantastic wrestling that is Stardom out to as many people as possible. Because remember, folks, this isn't just my podcast. It's your podcast, because we're all in this together, and everybody's different. Everybody's special. Have a great day and a great night. Bye-bye.